I like that they have one-time purchase, but I would almost put, instead of the big green box over that, I would put the box over subscribe and save, and have the checkbox be on one-time purchase. Now, you would think those two are separate, but really the goal here is to call out that there's that subscribe and save. Right now, it looks like, yeah, there's subscribe and save, but my only option is to go into one-time purchase. It looks like this is almost disabled, right? So really want to call that out so that people see it a lot more and know that it's an option. Or you could start with the subscribe and save selected. That's what, if you go to Amazon these days, that's what they do when something is available for subscribe and save. So it's not always the best consumer experience to do that. So it's something I would definitely test, but it's definitely an option as well.
Let's pause and talk about that for a bit, because it seems like every person we have on Subscription E-commerce Live has a thought about this, and some of them are super strong, right? So have you seen any studies that have proven that there's like a higher churn rate if you're defaulting to subscribe, or like a general sentiment about the brand's trustworthiness if they do that? Like what have you experienced with that? Because I think people are still trying to navigate it.
Yeah, and I think those are both great points and things to consider. There is a trustworthiness factor of like, hey, you're immediately pushing me into subscribe if I didn't see that. But that's where having it highlighted and checked, I think, would go a long way in letting people know this is what you've chosen. You could also, what we often find is change the call to action from add to cart to subscribe. So that way, or subscribe and save. And that way people know that's what's happening, right? That they're not just adding to cart, they're actually subscribing and saving. So that's one way around that trust factor, is just be very clear with the consumer in terms of where they're at and what the option is that's been selected. Now, in terms of people who churn, yes, you will get more people to churn, but those people probably would have only been a one-time buyer anyways. At least if they're in that subscription, you have the chance to prove your products to them, and you've got them in that cycle, instead of doing the harder task, which is trying to convince them later to come back to the site and subscribe, right? So I think that the best bet for growth is to get people into the subscription as early as possible, ideally on that first purchase, through a no hassle guarantee, which they've said here, you can skip, pause, cancel, or swap anytime. That's great, because at that point, it means, why wouldn't I take the 10% off and subscribe? If I like it, I'll keep the subscription. If not, I'll cancel right away. And so that's really where there's a bunch of benefits. I mean, I do this personally with a ton of products now. All the consumables, I've subscribed to it because I don't ever want to think about it again, quite honestly. And I know that I'll get a text or get some type of notification. Hey, your order is coming up. Do you want to cancel or whatever? And then I can make the decision at that point in time. So that's where the trustworthiness comes in. As long as people know that they're going to have that option and you're going to contact them, they don't need to come back and the brand is hoping that you forget. That's when I think that the trustworthiness goes out the door.